Before you ever told anyone what you were dreaming about, God already knew. Before you whispered that prayer in the middle of the night, he already saw the longing in your heart. Nothing catches God by surprise. The dream that's been tugging at your spirit for years, that thing you keep seeing in your mind when you close your eyes, he placed that there. It's not a coincidence, it's a divine assignment. God gives you desires that align with his purpose, not to tease you, but to train you to trust him. When you understand that, you stop worrying about if it'll happen and start asking when he'll reveal it. So many people think their dreams are too big for God. They think maybe they are asking for too much. Maybe it's selfish to want more. Maybe they are not worthy of something greater. But that's fear talking, not faith. If God planted it in you, he expects you to pursue it. He didn't give you a small dream because he doesn't do small things. When you start believing that your desires are a reflection of his will, your mindset shifts from doubt to confidence. You stop begging and start believing. Sometimes it feels like the things you want most are far away. You see others getting their blessings while you are still waiting for yours. And you start to wonder if maybe God forgot. But he didn't. He's simply arranging the details behind the scenes. He's not just preparing your blessing. He's preparing you for it. What you want requires growth, patience, and spiritual maturity. God won't give it to you until he knows you are ready to handle it. You might not understand why you had to go through certain hardships, but God knows. Every closed door, every disappointment, every painful delay, all of it was part of his design to strengthen your heart. Because when your time comes, you won't just receive the blessing, you will appreciate it. You will understand that everything you went through was never to stop you, but to shape you. People will question your faith. They'll tell you that what you want is impossible, but don't let their disbelief discourage you. They weren't in the room when God whispered that dream into your spirit. They didn't see the vision he showed you in the dark. You don't need their approval when you have his promise. Keep walking with faith even when no one claps for you, because the same God who started that fire in you will see it through. Every day that you wake up, remind yourself that your desires are not accidents. That business idea, that goal, that calling on your life, those are signs of purpose. God uses desire to lead you to your destiny. The dream isn't just about achieving something, it's about becoming someone. Every time you chase what he placed inside you, you are growing closer to who he designed you to be. Even when you feel like you have been praying for too long without results, don't lose hope. God didn't give you that desire so you could die with it. He gave it to you so that one day, when everything aligns, you will look back and realize it was him the whole time. You will see that he knew what you needed before you even knew how to ask for it. The hardest part of faith is waiting. You pray, you believe, and yet nothing seems to move. You start to wonder if maybe God said no. But the truth is, waiting is not denial, it's preparation. God doesn't rush your process because he's not interested in giving you something you can't sustain. He's building you during the silence. Every day that passes without visible progress is still part of his plan. It's easy to have faith when everything is working, but real faith is proven in the delay. When God makes you wait, he's not ignoring you. He's developing you. Waiting reveals what's really in your heart. It tests your patience, your discipline, and your consistency. Anybody can start strong, but few can stay faithful when it feels like heaven is quiet. That's why the waiting season is sacred. It's where God watches who truly trusts him and who's just there for the reward. You can't fake patience. You either believe he's working or you don't. People will tell you to move on, to stop hoping, to settle. But don't you dare. Don't you dare lower your expectations because the clock is ticking. God doesn't measure time the way you do. While you are worried about minutes, he's working on miracles. He's not bound by your deadline. He's orchestrating your destiny. The wait is not wasted. Every second of it is building your foundation, so when your blessing comes, it won't crumble under pressure. The waiting season humbles you. It strips away your pride, your timelines, your control. It teaches you to surrender and let God be God. Sometimes he'll let doors stay closed so you learn to depend on him instead of opportunity. Sometimes he'll make you wait until your character matches your calling. Because a fast blessing without a firm foundation can destroy you faster than failure ever could. During the waiting, God is watching your response. Are you complaining or are you preparing? Are you wasting time or are you working on your faith? The longer it takes, the stronger your faith should become. Because delay doesn't mean denial. It means development. The very thing you are asking for may depend on how well you handle this season of stillness. It's in waiting that you find your true strength. When everything in you wants to give up, but something inside whispers, keep believing, that's where spiritual growth happens. That's where faith becomes muscle. You can't grow without tension, and you can't trust without trials. The waiting season isn't designed to break you. It's designed to build you. And when God moves, when the breakthrough comes, you will understand why he made you wait. You will realize that he was never silent. He was strategizing. You will see that what you thought was a delay was really divine timing, preparing you for something greater than you could have imagined. Everybody prays for the blessing, but not everybody's willing to go through the preparation. You can't pray for a big life with a lazy spirit. God won't hand you something that your current mindset can't carry. The blessing you want requires a different version of you, a stronger one, a wiser one, a more faithful one. That's why before God gives it to you, he'll take you through the fire. Because he's not just preparing the blessing for you, he's preparing you for the blessing. When God is preparing you, it won't feel comfortable. It'll feel like everything's going wrong. You will lose friends, face rejection, and go through pain that doesn't make sense. But that's the molding stage. God uses struggle as a sculptor uses clay. He shapes your patience, your humility, and your endurance through challenges. You can't become strong without resistance, and you can't grow without pressure. Preparation isn't punishment, it's positioning. A lot of people pray for promotion but refuse preparation. They want to stand on the stage but don't want to go through the struggle that builds strength. You can't handle the weight of your destiny if you haven't developed spiritual muscles first. That's why God will test your heart before he trusts your hands. He'll watch how you handle small responsibilities before he gives you big ones. The blessing doesn't come to prove something to people. It comes to fulfill something in you. You might not see it now, but the process is producing greatness. Every hardship you face adds something to your character that success never could. Pain teaches you patience. Failure teaches you focus. Rejection teaches you resilience. God uses everything, every delay, every detour, every disappointment to prepare you for what you prayed for. Nothing you go through is wasted. During preparation, God will separate you from people who can't go where you are headed. It'll hurt, but it's necessary. You can't take everyone with you into the next chapter. Some people were meant for your past, not your purpose. God knows who and what needs to be removed so that your heart can handle what's next. He's clearing your path even when you think you are being left behind. The preparation season demands discipline. You can't just pray, you have got to prepare. You have to show God that you are serious about what you are asking for. Faith without action is empty. So while you are waiting, work, study, learn, grow. Every step you take toward becoming better is a signal to heaven that you are ready for more. God blesses preparation because it proves faith. When everything aligns, you will look back and realize why God didn't give it to you sooner. You will understand that what felt like a struggle was really shaping. The pain had a purpose. The process had meaning. Because before God ever gives the blessing, he always builds the person who can handle it. There's something powerful about understanding that God's timing never misses. He's never too early, and he's never too late. You might feel like you are falling behind, like you are watching everybody else move forward while you are stuck in the same place, but God doesn't operate on your clock. He operates on his. The delay you are feeling isn't failure, it's divine coordination. God is putting people, places, and opportunities in alignment so that when he moves, everything happens seamlessly. Sometimes he'll slow things down not to frustrate you, but to protect you from something you can't yet see. His timing is not just perfect, it's protective. We often think that because we're ready, the blessing should arrive. But what if you are ready and the blessing isn't? What if the opportunity you are praying for is still being shaped for your arrival? God doesn't just prepare you for the blessing, he prepares the blessing for you. He's setting the stage, writing the script, and adjusting the timing so that when your moment comes, there's no mistake about it. You will know it's from him. You won't have to chase it, force it, or fight for it. It will fit your life like it was made for you, because it was. When you try to rush what God is doing, you end up stepping outside of his plan. You start making decisions out of fear instead of faith, trying to make things happen your way. But every time you do that, you get a reminder that you can't outsmart the Creator. God's timing may not move fast enough for your emotions, but it's always on time for your destiny. Sometimes He'll let everything fall apart so you learn how to wait for Him to put it back together. He wants you to reach the blessing, not break before you get there. It's not easy to trust when you can't see progress. You will have moments where you are praying, waiting, and nothing seems to change. But those are the moments that build your spiritual backbone. That's when your trust in God becomes stronger than your frustration with delay. Every second of waiting is developing your faith muscle. Because when you learn to trust His timing, you stop panicking when things don't move. You start resting in the assurance that if He hasn't done it yet, there's a reason, and that reason is always for your good. There are things you are asking God for that would destroy you if He gave them to you right now. Sometimes the delay is mercy. You think you are ready for that position, that platform, that relationship, but God sees the full picture. He sees the future storms you can't see. He knows what's waiting around the corner. So He holds you back, not to punish you, but to preserve you. When He finally releases what's yours, it'll come with peace, not confusion. Because when it's God's time, there's no chaos, no struggle, no forcing. It flows. Every time you get frustrated with how long it's taking, remind yourself that timing is part of the blessing. The reason it hasn't happened yet is that He's still perfecting the details. Maybe He's working on your patience. Maybe He's changing the people around you. Maybe He's removing distractions so you can receive what's coming. The timing isn't just about when, it's about who you will be when it arrives. You are not waiting for time to pass. You are waiting for yourself to grow into the version that can handle what God's about to do. When the blessing shows up and every piece falls into place, you will realize why the wait was necessary. You will see that if it had come earlier, you wouldn't have appreciated it. If it had come sooner, you might have lost it. But because it came right on time, it'll last. You will look back and say, now I understand, because God's timing doesn't just bless your life, it transforms it. You can't ask God for something big and then walk around with small faith. You can't pray for a breakthrough and then doubt it the moment things get difficult. If your faith doesn't match your desire, you are blocking what God is trying to release. Faith is the currency of heaven. It's how you make spiritual transactions. You don't receive what you want because you cry for it. You receive what you believe for. You can't just speak it once and walk away. You have got to believe it every day, even when nothing looks different. That kind of faith moves mountains because it shows God you trust Him more than you trust what you see. A lot of people pray for blessings, but speak fear right after they pray. They'll say, Lord, I know you can do it. And then a few minutes later, but what if it doesn't work? That's not faith. That's fear dressed in polite words. True faith doesn't waver based on the weather. It stays solid even when storms hit. When you want something from God, you have to believe like it's already yours. Speak like it's already done. Walk like the door is already open. Faith doesn't wait for evidence. It creates evidence. There's a gap between what you desire and what you receive, and that gap is called faith. It's the bridge that connects your vision to your reality. When your faith gets weak, that bridge starts shaking. But when your faith gets strong, no storm can destroy it. That's why God often lets things take time, because He's strengthening that bridge. He's teaching you to stand on His word, not on your feelings. You might not have it yet, but faith says it's on the way. You might not see progress, but faith says God's already working. Faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting that God does. You won't always know how He's going to make it happen. You won't always see the next step. But real faith doesn't need details. It just needs direction. When God says go, you move even when you don't see the full path. When He says wait, you stay even when your emotions tell you to run. Faith isn't blind, it's bold. It looks past the struggle and focuses on the promise. You can't pray for blessings while entertaining doubt in your heart. Doubt kills dreams faster than failure ever could. It whispers lies that make you settle for less. That's why you have to guard your mind and your words. Don't speak fear over what you are believing for. Don't let negativity cancel your prayers. The same mouth that asks God for favor can't be the same one that speaks defeat. Every word you say is a seed. Plant faith, not fear. Your desire might be big, but your faith has to be bigger. God moves when you believe without hesitation. He honors the kind of faith that says, even if I don't know when or how, I know who. You have got to trust His promise, even when the path looks uncertain. Faith isn't tested when life is easy. It's tested when everything around you says, give up. That's when you choose to believe anyway, to keep going when it doesn't make sense, to hold on when everyone else lets go. And when your faith catches up to desire, doors will open that you didn't even knock on. Things will start aligning in ways you couldn't have planned because God responds to faith, not fear. When your faith rises to the level of your desire, miracles start to happen. It's not about wishing. It's about believing, trusting, and walking in the confidence that what God promised, He's able to perform. When you face obstacles, it's easy to think that maybe you took the wrong path or that God has forgotten about you. But let me tell you something real. Obstacles are not signs of abandonment. They are signs of progress. The moment you decide to move toward your purpose, resistance will rise. The enemy doesn't attack what's standing still. He attacks what's moving forward. So when life starts throwing roadblocks in your way, don't get discouraged. It means you are on the right road. God didn't change His mind. He's just training your strength through resistance. Too many people give up when they face opposition. They assume the presence of difficulty means the absence of God. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Some of your greatest obstacles are actually proof that God's hand is on your life. He's allowing those challenges not to break you, but to build your endurance. Every closed door, every delay, every disappointment is part of the training. You can't grow without resistance, and you can't win a fight you never step into. God uses those moments to show you what's really inside of you. Think about it. Every story of greatness comes with struggle. Every testimony starts with a test. You don't build strength and comfort, you build it in conflict. God never promised a life without obstacles. He promised victory through them. The storms you are facing aren't there to stop you. They are there to strengthen you. Sometimes He'll let you walk through fire, not to burn you, but to prove that you can't be destroyed. Every obstacle is an opportunity for God to show His power through you. When things get tough, your first instinct might be to question whether you heard God right. You will start saying, maybe this isn't what I was meant to do, or maybe I should just give up. But don't confuse difficulty with disapproval. God's silence doesn't mean His absence. He doesn't need to shout when He's already spoken. If He told you to move, then keep moving. The obstacles are part of the path, not a sign to turn back. Faith isn't proven in comfort. It's proven in chaos. Sometimes the obstacle is God's way of teaching you a strategy. You pray for strength, and He gives you challenges to develop it. You pray for wisdom, and He gives you situations that force you to think differently. You pray for a breakthrough, and He places a wall in front of you so you can learn how to climb. What you call a setback, God calls a setup. He's not stopping you, He's stretching you. Every time you overcome something that tries to stop you, your faith grows stronger, your confidence gets louder, and your testimony gets deeper. You have got to stop seeing resistance as rejection. That relationship that didn't work out, that job that fell through, that door that closed. It wasn't God saying no forever. It was Him saying, not like that. He sees what you can't. He knows what's ahead. Sometimes He allows things to crumble so He can rebuild them better. Your faith has to be strong enough to survive disappointment because what's on the other side of it is bigger than what you lost. Every time you choose to push through instead of giving up, heaven takes notice. Every time you decide to keep believing even when it hurts, you are proving that your faith is greater than your frustration. Obstacles are not a dead end, they are divine detours. They teach you to rely less on your plan and more on His power. So the next time something stands in your way, don't ask, why me? Ask, what's God building in me through this? Because the presence of the obstacle is often the evidence of the promise that's on its way. When God delays something you've been praying for, it's never because He forgot about you. It's because He's developing you. Delays are not punishments, they are preparation tools. God uses time to test your consistency to see if you can stay faithful even when nothing seems to be happening. It's easy to trust Him when doors open quickly. But what about when the door doesn't move? That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is choosing faith over frustration, obedience over impulse, and patience over panic. God will delay your blessing long enough to teach you that His timing matters more than your emotions. Delays reveal your true level of commitment. Everyone looks faithful when life is going right, but God wants to see if you will still serve him when things slow down. He's watching how you handle the quiet seasons, the seasons where you feel unseen, overlooked, and forgotten. Those are the moments that define your character. Because if you can't be trusted to stay consistent in the waiting, you won't be ready for the responsibility that comes with the blessing. The delay is where God filters out the half-hearted from the devoted. Sometimes you are praying for God to speed things up, but he's saying, I'm slowing it down for your sake. Discipline is learned through endurance. When everything takes longer than expected, you learn to rely on faith instead of feelings. God delays success so you can build structure. He delays promotion so you can develop patience. He delays the miracle so you can strengthen your mindset. Every delay has a divine purpose. It's not wasted time, it's training time. You are not being held back, you are being built up. During delays, God will test your daily habits. Are you preparing or just complaining? Are you using the time to grow, or are you wasting it wishing? Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. God's not just interested in your dreams, he's interested in your discipline. Because dreams without discipline die in delay. He's watching to see if you will keep showing up when no one's applauding, if you will keep believing when nothing changes, if you will keep working when nobody's watching. The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they lack consistency. God can't bless inconsistency. You can't expect him to promote you to a level you are not prepared to sustain. That's why he makes you wait until you have proven that your faith is steady and your habits are strong. The delay forces you to build systems, routines, and resilience that you will need later. Because the higher the blessing, the stronger the discipline required to maintain it. Delays will test your patience, but patience isn't passive. It's preparation in motion. While you are waiting, you should be working. You should be learning, building, improving, and getting better. God rewards those who keep planting even when it's not harvest season. The field may look empty, but the work you are doing in silence is what prepares you for the moment of abundance. The delay doesn't mean you are forgotten. It means you are being sharpened for what's next. And when the blessing shows up, you will realize that the discipline you built during the delay is what allows you to sustain it. Without the wait, you wouldn't have learned self-control. Without the test, you wouldn't have learned perseverance. Without the silence, you wouldn't have learned to trust his voice. The delay built strength in you that instant success never could. Because sometimes the greatest blessing isn't what you get after the wait, it's who you become during it. Comparison is one of the deadliest traps you can fall into. When you look at someone else's life, their blessings, or their success, it's easy to feel like you are behind, like your prayers aren't working, like God forgot about you. But the truth is, your path is yours alone. God didn't make anyone else's journey identical to yours, and he doesn't expect you to measure your progress by someone else's timeline. Your calling, your vision, and your destiny are unique, and they can't be rushed, borrowed, or stolen. Every time you compare yourself to someone else, you are inviting dissatisfaction into your heart. You start thinking, why not me? Or why them and not me? You begin to doubt God's plan for your life instead of trusting it. But here's the reality: God's timing for you is perfect. Just because you don't see someone else's struggle doesn't mean they didn't go through what you are going through. You don't know the battles they fought, the sacrifices they made, or the lessons they had to learn along the way. Comparison also blinds you to your own progress. You may be growing, changing, and advancing in ways that aren't immediately visible, but your focus on someone else keeps you from recognizing it. Every small step you take, every prayer you say, every moment you remain faithful is moving you closer to your destiny. God is always at work behind the scenes, and he doesn't need to show off just to make you feel better. Your journey is unfolding exactly the way it's supposed to, and it doesn't need validation from someone else's life. When you stop comparing, you start living in gratitude. You begin to celebrate your milestones instead of envying someone else's. You start to appreciate the lessons, the growth, and the timing of your own story. Gratitude turns focus inward and upward, reminding you that God's blessings are coming, even if they are not visible yet. The moment you learn to measure yourself by your progress and your faithfulness, you release the stress, the envy, and the pressure of trying to catch up. Comparison also steals your joy. You can't fully enjoy your blessings if your mind is constantly on someone else's success. You can't celebrate what God is doing in your life if you are focused on what He's doing in theirs. Every moment you spend wishing for someone else's journey is a moment you waste ignoring the one God has designed just for you. Your focus needs to be on faithfulness, growth, and perseverance, not on someone else's speed or appearance. God's plan for you is different, but it's just as powerful. He may be using slower seasons to teach you patience, resilience, and discipline. He may be aligning resources, relationships, or experiences in ways that will make your success last longer and deeper impact. No one else can walk your path for you, and no one else can bring your vision to life. Your story is yours, and God's timing is intentional. And when you finally embrace your journey and stop measuring it against others, you will discover peace, focus, and confidence. You will start to see that what God has for you is exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. Comparison fades because you recognize that your progress, your blessing, and your destiny are on a path only you can walk, and it's unfolding under the perfect hand of God. Persistence is one of the most powerful keys to seeing your prayers answered. God honors endurance, and He notices those who refuse to give up even when the journey is tough. There will be moments when it feels like nothing is happening, when doors close repeatedly, and when your efforts seem invisible. But quitting is never the answer. Every time you keep going despite the setbacks, you are sending a message to heaven that your faith is strong, your heart is committed, and your desire is worth fighting for. God rewards that kind of dedication. Most people give up right before the breakthrough. They quit at the point when their blessing is closest. It happens all the time. Just one more step, one more prayer, one more day of faith could change everything, but they throw in the towel. God's timing often aligns perfectly with the perseverance of His children. He wants to see if you will stay faithful when the going gets hard, because the reward is reserved for those who refuse to quit. If you keep moving forward, even when the outcome is unclear, you prove that your faith isn't dependent on circumstances. Obstacles will always come, but persistence is what allows you to overcome them. The challenges, setbacks, and disappointments are not there to stop you. They are there to test the strength of your determination. Every time you choose to stand when you feel like falling, every time you pray when you feel like screaming, every time you believe when you feel like doubting, you are positioning yourself for reward. God rewards endurance because it shows a heart that won't be swayed by difficulty. Faith without action is dead, but faith with persistence is alive and active. You can't just pray and hope. You must also show up consistently. Keep working, keep believing, keep preparing while you wait. Every act of obedience in the waiting season is another brick in the foundation of your blessing. God rewards those who work when no one is watching, who pray when it feels pointless, and who keep trusting when nothing makes sense. That kind of faith is powerful. Quitting is easy because it's immediate relief from struggle, but giving up ensures that your blessing never comes. God designed life to test your heart, not to discourage you. The ones who keep going despite opposition are the ones He rewards. The more you push through, the closer you get to seeing your prayers manifest. Every step you take in faith, every day you refuse to quit, brings you closer to the reward He has promised. Doubt is one of the most dangerous enemies of faith. It creeps in quietly, whispering lies that make you question God, yourself, and the purpose He has for your life. When doubt takes root in your heart, it blocks the flow of miracles and stalls your progress. You can pray, fast, and give, but if doubt lingers in your soul, it will sabotage your breakthrough. God wants you to move with confidence, believing without hesitation, trusting that His promises are true even when the evidence isn't visible. Doubt makes you look at your circumstances instead of your Creator. It makes you focus on the impossibility of the situation rather than the power of the one who created you. It whispers, "This is too hard," or maybe God isn't listening. But the truth is, God is always listening, always working, and always faithful. Doubt is the enemy's way of shifting your eyes from what God has promised to what you see in the moment. Every time you catch yourself doubting, you need to remind yourself that faith doesn't rely on sight, it relies on trust. Many people live in a constant battle between hope and fear. They pray for breakthroughs, but secretly worry that it won't happen. That's not faith, that's hesitation disguised as belief. God wants you to fully commit, to walk boldly, knowing that what He has promised will come to pass. When you remove doubt from your heart, you stop holding back your prayers and your efforts. You stop speaking defeat over your life and start declaring victory because your words now reflect confidence in God's plan. You remove doubt by renewing your mind with God's word. The more you meditate on his promises, the stronger your faith becomes. You replace the I can't thoughts with I can through Christ statements. You remind yourself of his faithfulness in the past, in the little things, and trust that he will repeat it on a greater scale. Doubt dies when you speak truth over your life. When you declare what God says about you louder than what your fears are saying. And when doubt is removed, your prayers gain power, your vision gains clarity, and your faith becomes unstoppable. You start moving with confidence, knowing that God is in control, that his promises are true, and that the desires he placed in your heart are meant to be fulfilled. You begin to trust him fully, speak boldly, and act courageously because doubt no longer has a foothold in your life. There will be moments in life when nothing makes sense. You pray, you believe, and yet everything seems upside down. Doors close, relationships fail, opportunities vanish. And you are left asking, God, why is this happening? Those are the times when faith is tested the most. Trust doesn't mean you understand everything. It means you believe God is working even when the path is unclear. You have to walk by faith and not by sight, trusting that he knows what you don't. It's human nature to want explanations, to need clarity before we move. But God often asks you to step out before you can see the whole staircase. That's the essence of trust, moving forward despite uncertainty. You may not know the reason for the delay, the detour, or the heartbreak, but God does. His plan is bigger than your understanding, and sometimes he intentionally keeps you in the dark to teach you patience, resilience, and dependence on him rather than on your own insight. Trusting God also requires surrender. You have to let go of your desire to control every detail, every outcome, and every timeline. When you cling to understanding, you limit God's ability to surprise you. He often works in ways that defy logic, timing, and human expectation. You may think he's late, but he's never late. You may think he's silent, but he's always speaking. Trust is the bridge between what you see and what he's doing behind the scenes. Life will test your trust with situations that seem unfair or confusing. You may be passed over for a promotion, face rejection, or encounter failure. But those moments are not signs that God has abandoned you. They are opportunities to deepen your trust in his wisdom. Faith grows in the soil of uncertainty. The more you choose to trust him when you don't understand, the more mature your faith becomes. And mature faith is the kind that moves mountains, opens doors, and attracts blessings that fear and doubt could never reach. When you trust without understanding, you develop resilience. You learn to stand firm even in storms, to keep moving even when the path is unclear, and to keep believing even when it feels impossible. Trust strengthens your spirit and prepares you for what God has in store. It trains you to rely on his character, his promises, and his power rather than your own insight or the opinions of others. The more you practice trust in uncertainty, the more equipped you become to handle blessings when they arrive. And as you continue to trust, you begin to see God's hand in ways you never imagined. Opportunities appear at the right time. Relationships fall into place and doors open that seemed impossible to reach. Even the struggles that confused you start making sense in hindsight. You realize that God was never absent. He was always present, orchestrating your life with precision, even when you didn't understand a single step along the way. God doesn't just bless the willing, he blesses the committed. He wants to see if you are in it for the long haul, if your faith is more than a temporary feeling, and if your heart is fully invested in what he has called you to do. Commitment is the proof of genuine desire. It's easy to be excited when things are going your way, but true commitment is staying faithful when nothing seems to work, when doors close, when prayers seem unanswered. God tests commitment to reveal the strength of your heart and the depth of your dedication. Testing doesn't mean God doubts you. It means he wants to prepare you. He wants to see if you can endure the trials without losing focus. He wants to know if your heart is steadfast or if you will be swayed by convenience, comfort, or temporary setbacks. Every test is an opportunity to show that your desire for God's promise is stronger than your desire for comfort. The trials are like weights placed in your hands to build spiritual muscle. The heavier the weight, the stronger you become. Sometimes God tests commitment by delaying what you are asking for. The longer the wait, the more patience you develop. He tests your willingness to remain faithful even when you don't see immediate results. Every unanswered prayer, every closed door, and every unexpected detour is part of the test. Commitment isn't proven by how you act when everything is easy. It's proven by how you respond when life challenges you. During tests, God is shaping your character. Every challenge teaches lessons that will prepare you to handle the responsibility of the blessing. Without testing, you may receive a gift that you cannot sustain. He wants to ensure that when the blessing arrives, you are ready to steward it wisely. Tests refine your focus, sharpen your faith, and build endurance. They reveal areas of weakness that need strengthening and areas of strength that need confirmation. Testing also deepens your intimacy with God. When life gets hard and you remain committed, you are forced to lean on Him, talk to Him, and trust Him more deeply. That closeness is part of the blessing itself. God wants a heart that is steadfast, loyal, and unwavering. He rewards those who pass the test because they have proven they can handle what comes next. And when the test of commitment is over, the results are visible. Doors open, prayers are answered, and blessings arrive that exceed expectations. You will look back and realize that every moment of endurance, every choice to stay faithful, and every sacrifice you made was used by God to prepare you. Commitment through testing doesn't just lead to rewards. It produces a resilient, faithful heart ready for the fullness of His promise. Your vision is sacred, and it doesn't need public approval to be valid. Too many people are waiting for someone to clap, validate, or endorse their dreams before they take action. But God doesn't operate in public opinion. He operates in purpose. Your vision is a seed planted by God, and it needs private watering before it can grow in the open. Protect it, nurture it. Keep it alive in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. That's where faith meets action and where true progress begins. When you keep your vision private, you reduce distraction and interference. People will always have opinions, doubts, and criticisms. Some will try to steal your enthusiasm. Some will question your ability, and some will discourage you because they can't see what God sees. Protecting your vision allows you to focus on what matters without being swayed by the noise. Your energy should go into building, preparing, and trusting, not defending or explaining. The private seasons are when God does the heaviest lifting on your behalf. Vision kept alive in private also strengthens resilience. Every time you work on your dreams without applause, without recognition, and without immediate reward, you are developing patience and perseverance. You are learning to depend on God's approval rather than man's. That private effort is like invisible training that builds spiritual muscles you will need for the public season. Those who rush into the spotlight too soon often crumble because they haven't been prepared in silence. God often calls us to labor in secret because He wants to shape our hearts. The process, the preparation, and the waiting season are all part of the development. When your vision is alive in private, you're building consistency, faith, and skill without distraction. You are proving that your commitment is real, not performative. Every step you take in private is a declaration that you trust God's timing. And that trust is what makes your eventual breakthrough unstoppable. Private seasons also spark creativity and innovation. When you work on your vision away from the eyes of others, you experiment, learn, and grow without fear of judgment. You can try new ideas, take calculated risks, and refine your approach. The lessons learned in private are often the most valuable because they are free from outside influence. God uses these private seasons to equip you with wisdom, insight, and clarity that you will need when the world sees your work. And when your vision emerges into the public eye, it will have the strength, depth, and clarity that only private dedication can produce. People will see the results, but they won't see the hours, the prayers, the preparation, and the faith that kept it alive when no one else was watching. That private season becomes the foundation for public success, and it ensures that when your breakthrough comes, it is sustainable, impactful, and a true reflection of God's purpose for your life. Gratitude is more than a polite thank you. It's a powerful spiritual magnet that draws God's favor into your life. When you start each day acknowledging what God has already done, your heart shifts from scarcity to abundance. You stop focusing on what you lack and begin celebrating what is already present. That attitude of appreciation opens doors that complaints, doubt, and negativity can never unlock. Favor flows to hearts that recognize blessings, even in small things, because gratitude aligns you with God's provision and promises. Many people pray for more without ever being thankful for what they already have. They look at others, compare their lives, and complain about delays, losses, or obstacles. But God doesn't reward whining hearts. He rewards hearts that see Him working, even in the invisible moments. Gratitude proves that you trust Him, that you see the hand of God at work. and that you understand his timing and wisdom. When you express genuine thanks, you invite God to multiply the blessings you already have. Gratitude also strengthens your faith. When you focus on what God has done in the past, you build confidence that he will do it again. You remember the doors he opened, the prayers he answered, and the impossible situations he turned around. That remembrance fuels hope and reinforces your trust. A thankful heart looks for evidence of God's work, not for reasons to doubt. Gratitude becomes the lens through which you interpret every circumstance, allowing you to see opportunity and favor even in challenges. The law of sowing and reaping applies spiritually as well. Every expression of gratitude is like planting a seed of favor. Every thank you, God multiplies the harvest waiting for you. The more you recognize and celebrate blessings, the more doors open, the more people support your vision, and the more unexpected opportunities arrive. Gratitude is not passive. It's an active declaration that you trust God to continue providing and guiding your path. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, you eliminate the poison of comparison. You stop being distracted by the success or possessions of others and instead channel your energy into growth, service, and faithfulness. A grateful heart sees God's favor in every situation, even when things are challenging, because it's trained to acknowledge his sovereignty and goodness at all times. Being grateful invites peace and clarity. When you are consumed with complaining or resentment, your mind becomes clouded, your spirit becomes restless, and your prayers lose power. Gratitude centers your heart and mind, allowing you to recognize God's hand in both small and large moments. It keeps you focused on what matters and aligns your actions with divine purpose. Favor often follows clarity, and clarity comes when your heart is full of thanksgiving rather than distraction. And when you consistently live a life of gratitude, God's favor begins to manifest in ways you never anticipated. Relationships shift, doors open, and opportunities arrive at the right moment. People are drawn to your positivity, and God multiplies your efforts. Gratitude doesn't just acknowledge past blessings, it creates momentum for future blessings, building a cycle of favor, abundance, and alignment with God's purpose for your life. God measures your capacity not by your talent, connections, or knowledge, but by your character, your integrity, humility, patience, and faithfulness are what determine how much he can trust you with. You may have big dreams, but if your character isn't aligned with God's standards, those dreams can become a trap rather than a blessing. Character is the foundation on which capacity is built. Without it, success is fragile, fleeting, and often destructive. Your response to small things reveals the measure of your character. How you handle everyday challenges, disappointments, and interactions matters more than how you perform in public or in front of the world. God watches how you treat people who cannot benefit you, how you respond when no one is watching, and how you conduct yourself in the quiet seasons. The small decisions shape the person you are becoming, and that person determines the level of responsibility God can entrust to you. Life will test honesty, patience, loyalty, and humility. These tests are not meant to discourage you, they are meant to prepare you. The greater the test, the greater the opportunity for growth. When you navigate challenges with integrity and faith, you expand your capacity to handle larger responsibilities and more significant blessings. God never places a heavy load on someone who isn't prepared to carry it. Capacity is limited when character is compromised. No amount of talent or strategy can make up for dishonesty, greed, pride, or impatience. People who seek success without developing character often experience setbacks, conflicts, and loss. God's plan requires alignment. The more you align your actions, thoughts, and heart with his principles, the more he can expand your capacity. Character ensures that the blessings you receive will be sustained, fruitful, and used for the right purposes. Faithfulness in the unseen builds your capacity for the seen. When you consistently act with integrity, even when there's no immediate reward, God notices. He rewards perseverance, humility, and diligence. Every act of faithfulness increases your spiritual and practical capacity to receive, manage, and multiply blessings. Your capacity is like a container. The bigger your character, the larger the container, and the more God can fill it with his provision and favor. God often waits for character to catch up to calling. He may place a vision in your heart, but it takes time to cultivate the character necessary to steward it wisely. Impatience, entitlement, and shortcuts are enemies of growth. You must be willing to develop qualities like resilience, discipline, and humility so that when the time comes, you can manage the blessing without losing yourself or your integrity. Character is the measure of readiness. And when your character aligns with God's standards, Your capacity expands exponentially. You become able to handle more responsibility, attract the right opportunities, and influence others positively. Your integrity becomes your strength. Your patience becomes your power, and your faithfulness becomes the key to unlock doors that talent or luck alone could never open. God trusts the person who has been molded by trials and guided by principles, and that trust is what determines how much He can pour into your life. Your words have power, and what you speak consistently shapes your reality. God gave you a mouth not just to complain or express doubt, but to declare your faith, your vision, and your destiny. Speaking what you seek is an act of faith. It's saying, I believe God is at work, and I am confident in His promise. When you align your words with your prayers, you reinforce your belief and activate the spiritual law that connects faith and manifestation. Many people pray for blessings, but speak defeat over their own lives. They pray for promotion, but they say, I don't know if it will happen. They pray for healing, but they whisper, maybe it's too late. This contradiction cancels out the power of their faith. Your words must match your desires. Declare what you seek boldly and consistently, even when circumstances seem contrary. God's favor responds to spoken faith, not whispered doubt. Consistency is key. You don't speak once and forget. You speak daily faithfully with conviction. Speak over your finances, your relationships, your health, your career, and your spiritual life. Speak the vision God has placed in your heart with confidence and anticipation. Every declaration builds momentum, and God honors the discipline of speaking faith into existence. Your words are the seeds, and consistent speaking waters them until they grow. Faith-filled speech combats fear and doubt. Every time fear tries to creep in, every time doubt whispers lies, your spoken words serve as a shield. They remind you of God's promises and the vision He placed in your heart. The moment you stop speaking your vision, the enemy gains ground. But when you declare it boldly, repeatedly, and confidently, your words guard your heart, your mind, and your destiny, reinforcing the belief that what God promised is on its way. And when you continue to speak what you seek, even before you see it, the invisible begins to become visible. Opportunities align. Resources flow and situations shift. Your words create a spiritual force that moves heaven and shapes the circumstances around you. Speaking what you seek until you see it turns faith into action, hope into reality, and prayer into manifestation. The life you envision starts unfolding because your declarations match the desire God planted in your heart. Faithfulness is one of the most powerful qualities a person can possess. When you remain devoted to God, consistent in prayer, and steadfast in obedience, you place yourself on a path that cannot be ignored. God sees the heart, and He never forgets those who remain loyal, even in the hardest seasons. Your efforts, sacrifices, and devotion may go unnoticed by people, but they are engraved in heaven. And God always honors a faithful heart. Life will test your faithfulness. There will be moments when the results of your labor seem delayed, when your prayers feel unanswered, and when your commitment feels unrecognized. But these moments are not signs that God has forgotten you. They are tests that strengthen your perseverance. Every time you choose obedience over convenience, service over selfishness, and trust over doubt, you are proving that your heart is committed to God, and He never loses sight of that. Faithfulness produces spiritual credit that accumulates over time. Every act of consistent devotion, whether big or small, builds a foundation for future blessings. Even when you cannot see the immediate impact of your actions, God remembers. The prayers you prayed, the people you helped, and the integrity you maintained are never wasted. A faithful heart becomes a magnet for God's favor because He knows that those who remain steadfast can handle greater responsibility and more significant blessings. It's easy to be faithful when life is smooth, when doors open, and when people applaud. But God values the hearts that stay faithful in the storms when doors remain closed. When criticism comes and when hope seems distant, that is the type of faith that moves mountains. He notices the ones who refuse to quit, the ones who keep praying, the ones who keep giving, and the ones who continue walking in obedience, even when it seems like nothing is happening. God's memory is perfect, and He never forgets what you sow in obedience. The seeds of faithfulness you plant may take time to grow, but they will produce a harvest. Every sacrifice, every moment of patience, every act of integrity contributes to your spiritual account. He always honors that devotion, sometimes in ways you could never anticipate, often exceeding what you imagine. And when the reward comes, you will realize that the faithful steps you took, even in the quiet and unseen moments, were what positioned you for blessing. God's recognition is not always immediate, but it is certain he never forgets, he never overlooks, and he always honors a heart that stays committed, a heart that keeps trusting, and a heart that remains faithful through every season.